Hi, I'm Janet Raftis, Master Healer and Intuitive Development Teacher. And today I am going to be talking about channeled writing. And this is a question that I've gotten from a couple people. And it's a really beautiful way to connect with your higher self, to connect with other spiritual beings and entities or source energy itself, God, Goddess, the divine, and to get information about anything you want, anything that's going on in your life. So with channeled writing, basically it's also known as automatic writing. So some of you may have heard of it by that name before. And basically there are a couple different ways that you can go about this. For some people, this is very easy, and for others it's a little harder, but it's something that everybody can cultivate. And just like any intuitive gift, you're going to have gifts in some areas that are stronger than in other areas. So this is a great tool to work with and practice with, and the more you practice it, the easier it will get. I have used it a lot in certain periods of my life, and then there's periods where I don't use it as much. I use other tools, but it's something that, since I have cultivated it, is always available to me. If you are a very right-brained person, if you're very creative, if you're a musician or a painter, an artist, this might be something that is very easy for you, because typically in those fields, you're already pretty much channeling. Or a writer, as another example. I didn't even know it, but when I was in high school, I was basically channeling poems, and I had no idea. I mean, until recently I was thinking about it, I was like, oh my God, that's what I was doing. I just knew that it came to me so quickly that I could barely get it down on paper fast enough. And it would be like receiving a download of information. And this is definitely one way that channeled writing can work. For some of you, it might come in super fast and furious, and you'll just be wanting to like scribble it out. And for others, it might be a more methodical process. So the benefits of doing this is that you can access guidance from your higher self, from spiritual entities, from source, as I mentioned earlier. It will provide you with improved clarity and decision-making abilities. It will open up and expand your intuition, and it will help you to feel really deeply supported. I noticed that when I do a lot of channeling, I feel the presence of my guides so strongly. It feels really, really good. And in the past, I turned to it a lot when I was depressed, and got some really good information. And that's also something I hadn't really thought about until just now, but I was thinking about a few times in my life where it was really kind of, it was something that I held on to. And I really looked forward to when I was doing it. And I would, the way that I did it was I would choose who I wanted to channel in that moment. I worked with Archangel Michael a lot at that period in time, and sometimes Archangel Raphael. And lately, when I've done channeling, it's been with Isis and my higher self. When you do start doing this work, if you are going to set an intention about what you want to connect with, who you want to connect with, so to speak, because I do know with channeling some people who have inadvertently let in less than desirable energies. I don't want to scare you. If you just set an intention that you're only going to work with like positive, loving beings of light, that's all that you need to do. If you have a curiosity towards darker entities and spirits, which some people do, just make sure that you are not channeling them. You just want to set that intention for loving, positive beings of light. This is also very much like a meditative practice, and it can be something that you use in conjunction with meditation. So something that is a great like little practice would be to have, you know, like a 10-15 minute meditation or breath work or something where you're very much calming yourself, because you're going to enter, unless you're one of those people that just downloads information, and especially when you're practicing, when you're getting accustomed to this, you'll want to ease your way in. At some point, it might become very easy for you, because now like I can just set the intention and do it. My partner Scott, the same way. He's been doing channeled writing for years as well, and in fact, he was doing it long before he even knew that he was doing it. But initially, for a lot of people, you want to set up like a ritual around the practice, and really holding that space and setting that intention will help you to connect with the energy and will help it to come through. So you're going to enter into like a trance or a semi-trance state, and You don't want that to freak you out or anything either. You know, simple trance states, Gabby, it would be so awesome for you, and I think you would have a good aptitude with it. A simple, like, we go into trance all the time. We go into trance when we're watching TV. We go into, which is why advertising works so well. We go into a trance state a lot when we're driving, when we're doing repetitive activities like washing dishes or folding clothes. So it's just this state of mind where your mind quiets down, right? Where your mind relaxes, and in that relaxed state, energy can flow through. This is, even though it's coming into your crown chakra, and even though it's moving through your mind, it is not a mental activity. It is an allowance activity. This is about allowing things to flow through you, information to flow through you. So what you will want to do is you'll want to set up, you know, a time to do this and to practice with it. Hi, Gabriela. You'll want to choose whatever activity will help you to get into that relaxed state. So this, you know, and try different things, because different things will work better for you than others. Hey, Shannon. So you can set a time. You can do, say you do a meditation, or you listen to some music and you get nice and relaxed. You're going to have a pen and notebook with you, and you want to think of a question, and the question, if it has some charge to it for you, like, should I go to the grocery store, is not a great question for this particular exercise. A great question would be like, I'm feeling really desperate for a change in my life. What information do you have for me? And then you'll write the question down in your notebook, and you will just really kind of relax. And I find that it's easier to not look at the paper, or to not have your focus on the paper, because what you want is just to allow your hand to move over. So you're going to ask the question, you're going to be in this nice relaxed state, and you're going to let the energy flow. And you can even start just by kind of moving your pen over the page. You can ask the question a few times if you're having trouble getting into it. And then you're just going to let whatever comes through, even if it's just a word, even if it doesn't make sense, even if it's a scribble. It might even be like a drawing, and you're gonna let go of the need for it to be neat and pretty. You're just gonna let it be whatever it needs to be. And just let your pen flow over the paper, and it will probably be messy, and just know that you're not gonna interpret any of it in the moment. That's something you're gonna go back later. So you're relaxed, you let that translate state come in, you let your writing flow. And if that is challenging for you, and it might be, and even sometimes you could do it once and then the next time have expectations around it, that can make it challenging. So like I said, with everything that is like this, or everything that is practicing your intuition, it really is practice. It's like practice using that muscle, and it will help. But if you're challenged, you can try it with your non-dominant hand as well. And what this does is your mind becomes occupied with, you have to pretty much look at the paper then, but your mind becomes occupied with how to make the movements, and that will open up the space for the information to come in. A lot of you have probably done, if you journal often, or if you write, you have probably done this without knowing it at some point in time. This is the type of thing where you look at it afterwards and you're like, wow, that's awesome. How did I know that? A lot of times that's coming from your higher self. Give yourself room to breathe in this. This is a relaxed activity, and how you know if it worked or not, if you can stay relaxed in it, and if you feel your mind starting to get caught up, or if you find yourself looking at the page and judging what's coming through, just go ahead and stop for a minute, take a step back, get back into your breathing, allow your breathing, your breath to drop in, and then just return to the task at hand. And then after you're done, that's when you can interpret it. And remember, it might not all make sense. It might just be really random words or a few drawings. It might be scribbles, but when you do it, you will be able to pick out a few things. And if you have been in that relaxed state, then it's real. Then you've done it. It's when, if you notice that you're feeling anxious about it, that you're having a lot of mental activity about it, that's when maybe you've slipped out of it and gone into your left brain. So, and this is the same with all intuitive work. You want to really stay in that right brain as much as you can, which when you're in that place, there's not as much attachment to the information that's coming through, right? This is a flow. So if you feel it as a flow, then you're on to something. You're really working with it. You will feel, when you have this experience, you'll feel calm, you'll feel peaceful, you'll feel light. I know that, like with Scott, when he was doing it, I don't think he even knew he was doing it when I met him. He was, super intuitive and open and not really aware of what was going on. And he had been writing, he's a music writer. He'd been writing music, and he had been doing channel writing for a long time. And I was like, "You are totally channeling." And he was like, "I am." Like, he was surprised, but then it made sense as he started putting the pieces together. It made sense. And really the thing about Scott, and I use him as an example a lot, and it's in big part because he's, he is an artist and he is intuitive. He doesn't judge what comes through. He just lets it, like, he allows it to move through him, and then he allows it to be the experience that it needs to be. And so it comes very naturally to him. For a lot of us have spent more time on the other side of our brain. And so this where it can be difficult. And so it's really, a lot of this is just taking the practice and dedicating some time to it so that you can get into that state. And you will, if you take the time to connect and hold that intention, it absolutely will happen. So that's kind of the summary of it. I would love to, if you guys try this, I would love for you to share your experiences on the thread or with me. And if you have questions right now, please ask. This is, I would love to answer them. And this is a great opportunity for you guys to learn more even from people's questions, because I may have missed something that is important for you. I gave you kind of like a structure of how this can look, but there absolutely are other ways as well. And also, if you are really averse to writing, you can do this in a notebook, but if you love computers and you feel really comfortable typing, you could do it that way too. And I have actually done channeled writing on a computer before. I like notebooks better, but I've tried it with computer just to see, and it worked. And yeah, there's different ways. And you can also, if you don't like writing, but you are somebody who feels comfortable with the idea of channeling without writing, then you could try it and just record it and see what happens. Just see what words come in. I think writing is an easy way to bring you into channeling, but for some people, a direct channel might actually just work even a little bit better. So play around with it and see. Awesome. Yeah, Shannon, it will be a really great exercise. And you are really connected to your guides and you hear them a lot. So this is just a new way of working with them, but still getting great information. And sometimes, once you cultivate this, you get a really great flow of information, which is so valuable. Yeah. Yes, exactly. So Shannon, and actually, one of the girls in our group brought this up because she was challenged with the yes/no as well, and this is a different group that Shannon and I are involved with, and so it's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this. Elena said, when you were asking the question, can it be beneficial to ask for a specific guide? In my experience, yes, and I think that also really serves with the intention of keeping it light and bright. But you can also, if you want, you can if you can do a specific one, like I'll just take angels as an example. Like I connected with Archangel Michael, but you can also say, whichever archangel is for my best and highest good to come through. And is that actually, it totally, it could go either way, because if you leave it open to whoever is for my best and highest good, then you'll get whoever's for your best and highest good. But if you feel a connection to a guide, then work with that connection and try it both ways and see what you like. When Scott started channeling, I always ask. I'm always very specific, but that's just who I am. But when Scott started channeling Ave, the extraterrestrial that he channels, he was working with a group. He was channeling a group of spiritual entities called the Underwriters, and he asked the Underwriters about extraterrestrials, and and because he asked, he opened a door, and that was when, you know, they kind of stepped inside and let Ave come in, and so he's been working with him ever since. So that was, you know, and he didn't specifically ask for it, but a door was open, and the spiritual entity that was there for his best and highest good came through, and they have an amazing relationship now, and he channels him all the time. And some people even are like very specific, like Ina Lucas channels the alchemist all the time. She always channels the alchemist. Esther Hicks always channels Abraham. So there are some people who are very specific with who they channel. And there are some people who, like me, like I'm all over the place. I'm like, I think I'll channel Isis today. Or, you know, I need some answers. I'm going to channel so-and-so. So for me, I just have fun for it and leave it very open. Deborah, thank you for doing this. Do you think this can be easier than the yes, no expressions in the body? I think for some people it can be. And I think it might be helpful for you. So I'm excited for you to try it and see what comes up for you. And it's a great way too to get channeled writing, you can get a vast amount of information because it's infinite. It really is absolutely infinite. Scott and I were playing tennis on Thursday, he says. Shannon says, can you expand on what you said in the beginning of calling in the wrong help? So it's not really calling in the wrong help. It is, I guess, not setting up the right help, if that makes sense. So just setting a simple boundary, and a simple boundary is I would like to connect with a spiritual entity. I have this question, and only beings, high vibrational beings of love and light can come in, and it can be as simple as that. And if you do that, that's only what you will get, because you've set an energetic boundary in the spiritual realm. You can also, Shannon, just work with your guides and say, like, you guys are like my gatekeepers, and you can, and I expect you to only allow in high vibrational beings of love and light. And it's not, and I don't want to freak you guys out. I just wanted to it's important to put that caveat in there, because I do know some people who were like, oh, I'm super interested in, you know, aliens and blah, 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 and dark entities and blah, blah, blah. And then they ended up having something come in that, and it wasn't necessarily that they asked for it, but it was that they were open and curious and thinking about it. And then that happened. So just set a boundary that feels, an intention that feels good for you. It's a great question. Thank you. Awesome, Debbie. I can't wait to hear how it goes for you. Any other questions before I jump off? You guys asked some really good questions today, and I love it when you ask questions. And this is a fun topic, so I really look forward to hearing how it works for all of you. And if you don't have anything else, we will sign off for now. Thank you all so much, and I will see you next week. Have a great week. Bye.